Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. The NFL Show and the Grueling Truth, as always, is powered by Betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding an online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Make sure you check them out at Betting.net. I'm your host for the NFL Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in NFL beat writer Dan Kornhauser. How you doing, Dan?
What's up, Mike? Happy Sunday fun day. Are you ready to wrap up the AFC?
Will that be the last one already?
Already. Time flies when you're having fun.
All right, guys, we're going to look at the AFC West tonight. And the thing about the AFC West, I don't think there is a better, more competitive division in the NFL right now. All four teams have basically franchise quarterbacks. The Chiefs have been to the AFC Championship game 4 straight years. The Raiders made it to the playoffs last year. The Broncos added Russell Wilson. The Chargers are a team that always seems like they're about to do something, but usually injuries or something gets in the way there. Dan, I think it's safe to say going into this season, the way it looks right now, the AFC West is the best division in the NFL.
I mean, it'd be very difficult for anyone to really argue with that sentiment. As you said, all four teams have their franchise quarterbacks. All four teams are threats. Vegas made the playoffs last year. Kansas City made the playoffs. Denver got better. LA just needs to be healthy, and they might be the best team in the league, or definitely one of the best talent-wise, at least on paper. So yeah, you'd be hard pressed to find a better division than this one.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's start our look with the team that maybe made the biggest change, and that would be the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, of course, added Russell Wilson, which, I mean, this is a great deal for Aaron Russell Wilson, because now he finally has a team and a head coach in Nathaniel Hackett that is going to want to throw the ball. Pete Carroll seemed like no matter how good he was, Pete Carroll wanted to run the ball. He's got Jerry Jeudy. He's got Cortland Sutton. He's got KJ Hamler, 5th-round rookie Montrell Washington possibly. Of course, I think Tim Patrick had an injury a week or so ago. He's got the weapons here, and Russell Wilson, I mean, there's no doubt he's at the very worst, the top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, man. I mean, I've gone on this show throughout last season and even this offseason. You know how I feel about Russell Wilson. I said it during our quarterback rankings when we did that, how highly I think of Russell Wilson. And yes, I know he's coming off of an injury late in the year, but it's the first time in his career he's actually missed a game. So I'm going to give him a slide for last year, also given all the other issues that the Seahawks offense had last year. But I love Russell Wilson, man. I think I said this last year about the Denver Broncos, and I was maybe a year early.
You said it the year before, too, by the way.
Clearly, I was a year early on them, but this could be a Super Bowl contending team now that they have a legitimate quarterback. They have a legit top 10 quarterback, franchise quarterback, finally, for what seems like for the first time in forever, at least since Peyton Manning was there when they won a chip. But even then, that was a shell of Peyton Manning's greatness.
Well, by the time they won a Super Bowl, it was. Of course, 2012, exactly. I think he had a great year. But after that, never really the same.
Yeah.
So my question here to you is this: is the offensive line good enough?
I think so. I think at the very least, the unit has the ability to be at least average, which if you can be in the top, 15, 16, 17 range of offensive lines, I mean, you're already ahead, man, because let's be honest, offensive line play around the league is pretty lacking. It's pretty bad, and everyone needs offensive line help, but the Broncos are in a good spot. Garrett Bowles at left tackle has been solid for him. He got a contract extension. Dalton Reisner has been a good starting guard at left guard for them since they took him in the second round of 2019. Lloyd Cushenberry has had his ups and downs, but at the very least, he's slotted into to start at center again. Quinn Minert, who they drafted last year in the third round, is a solid piece. And they brought back Billy Turner, who Billy Turner's not really anything special, but you could do a lot worse than Billy Turner at right tackle. I think they'll be all right.
All right, so let's look at the defensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball, they did sign Randy Gregory. They got a rookie, Nick Benito. I think the biggest question with this defense is Bradley Chubb, because I think this team is only a Super Bowl contender if Bradley Chubb is healthy.
Bradley Chubb needs to be their best edge rusher, plain and simple. Plain and simple. Randy Gregory was a great addition, and I know Dallas fans are pretty disgusted about how that went down because he originally was reported to re-sign with the Cowboys, and then I don't know if I can't remember if there was like some different terminology that they tried sliding in there in the 11th hour of his contract, but something went on there with the Cowboys, and he just backed out of that deal and signed with the Broncos. So Dallas's loss is Denver's big gain because Randy Gregory had a great year last year.
Well,
but
I think it's also Bradley Chubb's gain.
Yeah, but Bradley Chubb is the name to watch. If he is what they drafted him to be, he was a top 10 pick in 2018. If he's what they expect him to be, if he stays healthy, big if there, they'll have a nice edge rushing tandem in Gregory and Chubb.
Well, what I mean by it's a great addition for Bradley Chubb is it gets somebody to get some of the heat off of him if Randy Gregory has his head in and he's playing, because we know Randy Gregory, what he can do when he is all in. The problem is we haven't seen that a whole lot with him.
Yeah, that's always been an issue with him throughout his career. It's when he's in and he's locked in, he's good, man. He's one of the best young edge rushers in the league. He's got everything you look for physically, but as you said, he's not always been dialed in. So we'll see where his head's at, but he should have a lot of one-on-one opportunities up front.
Yeah, and I mean, if we had Steve on, we could know what Randy thinks because Steve talks to him all the time.
That's right. Him and Steve are BFFs.
Yeah, because Steve actually coached him in AAU basketball. And of course, Steve Risley's not here tonight. He had some issues that he had to deal with, so hopefully he'll be back shortly. All right. Anything else we want to touch on the Broncos? The one thing that struck me is they traded Noah Fant in the Russell Wilson deal. So who's going to be the tight end here?
I mean, the most obvious one is now I'm terrible with names.
I know, that's why I know who it is too, but I figure I'd let you say the name.
I'm terrible with last names, so I've always called him Albert OK Gundam style since he came into the league. But it's Albert Okwegbunam. Oh my God, I'm so terrible with these names. You know what? Let me see if Google has if Google can help us out here.
Well, everybody knows who you're talking about if they're a fan of that team. So my question is this. My question is, we'll get to that in a second, Joe. Joe's already predicted the Chiefs record. We haven't even got to the Chiefs yet. Go ahead. So is he good enough to do what needs to be done at the tight end position?
I think that remains to be seen. So the pronunciation is Okwegbunam. Okwegbunam. That's how you pronounce it. So Albert Okwegbunam. I'm never going to.
Let's get off the tight ends so we can get some guys whose names we can pronounce. The running game should be good with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. Looks like they'll share the snaps once again. So I still think for Denver, this is going to come down to Bradley Chubb staying healthy. I don't know. Do you really think this roster is a Super Bowl roster?
I do. And I don't want to like shortchange them because the division is so damn good. Like, are they the Chargers? No, I don't think they're the Chargers, at least talent-wise on paper. Are they the Chiefs? No, I don't think they're necessarily the Chiefs overall on paper, talent-wise. And are they the Raiders even? Maybe they're closer to the Raiders, maybe, but even still, like, these are three great teams. So when you're stacking them up, even in their division alone, one might look at it and say, oh, you might talk yourself out of it. But look, man, this defense is ready. Their front seven is ready. They've got what you need to make the dance. They've got good pass rush. They've got a very good aggressive secondary led by Pat Surtain II. They've got the quarterback. They've got the ground game. Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon had literally identical stats last year. Identical carries last year. While that's not going to be the case this year, elite quarterback, elite ground game, at the very least upper echelon defense. You got plenty of weapons in the passing game. You have at the very least an average offensive line. That's all you really. That's quite the recipe for
I,
success.
I agree with you, but I just don't know that Bradley Chubb stays healthy, and I do think that hinders them as a Super Bowl contender if he's not. But I think if he's full go, do you see the hit he put on Ezekiel Elliott in training camp the
Yo,
other day?
yeah.
So
It's they're a talented team, man. I was a year early when I was talking about them last year,
you
but
talked about it the year before too.
now we're right on time.
You've talked about it for 2 years, Dan.
Let's go Broncos.
And this is the thing, you didn't know they were getting Russell Wilson. All right, next up we get the Kansas City Chiefs, who Joseph Michael chimes in and says KC goes 9-8 this year. I think that is possible, but I think that's because of the division. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are still a really good football team. They're still going to be in this mix because let's face it, if all four of these teams are as good as we think, you may not have a team win more than 11 games in this division.
Yo, all the teams having winning records, it's not unheard of. It wouldn't be the first time and it wouldn't be the last time if this division is going to live up to expectations, as you just said, as everyone expects. But yo, 10, 11 wins for the Chiefs. I mean, that's pretty much been the standard since Mahomes got into town. Hell, that was the standards before Mahomes got into town. So yeah, why not? It wouldn't be crazy.
All right, now they have a reshuffled wide receiver room in Kansas City. And, KC traded Tyreek Hill. They brought in Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquise Valdez-Scantling. I don't think the two of those guys together can replace Tyreek Hill. And, I mean, the Chiefs, they had some issues last year. And on offense, just the way teams defended them differently. I think you also have to look at the addition of Sky Moore. But to me, the loss of Tyreek Hill is huge. I mean, Schuster to me had the one good year. Scantling was good as the number 2 or 3 guy in Green Bay. But I mean, are Smith Schuster and Scantling really guys that can help Patrick Mahomes win another Super Bowl?
Individually, I don't think so, no. But as a unit, they both, and even Sky Moore, they all bring different complementary talents to the receiving unit. And yes, it's always better for your QB1 to have that wide receiver one, that legit top wide receiver option on the outside. Yes, everyone wants that. But in some situations like this, you get an elite quarterback, a top 3 quarterback in the league, top 5 minimum quarterback in the league at this point. You give him a bunch of weapons that can get open on their own. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster apparently has had a great camp. Him and Mahomes apparently are meshing very well. It looks like they've been playing together for years as opposed to months. So that right there, that bears well for them. Valdez-Scantling, yeah, he's always been more of like a deep threat kind of guy, more of like a one-trick pony, never really lit anyone on fire. But he had a few explosive games with Aaron Rodgers. I think in this kind of an offense, he fits a role. He fills the role. He'll get his opportunities downfield. We know Mahomes likes to stretch the field, so that could well fit his game very nicely. And then guys like Mecole Hardman and Sky Moore, those are your jitterbugs. Sky Moore is another one who has been making plays seemingly every single day. I feel like every time I go on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, I'm seeing another Sky Moore highlight. One way or the other, either a crazy catch, a diving catch, or a crazy catch in traffic, or bobbing and weaving on a reverse, looking like Deebo Samuel out there. So individually, no, none of these guys are Tyreek Hill, but as a unit, while we may not see someone put up Tyreek Hill numbers, they could still be a very effective passing offense, especially with Travis Kelce leading the way on.
Yeah, but I think this, when you talk about the deep threat and Scantling, the issue with the Chiefs last year was they struggled against some different cover 2 schemes that really kind of shut the offense down, especially towards the start of the year. And then, of course, in the playoff game with the Bengals in the second half, where the Bengals kind of whipped between cover 2, cover 3, gave them issues. So I think they brought Schuster and Scantling in for that. I don't know that I see the personnel here to be able to fix that issue. Because let's face it, if Tyreek Hill can't fix it by blowing the top off the defense, Scantling's not going to be able to. I think what we might see from this team, I think the offensive line was improved last year. Orlando Brown, I think they finally re-signed him to a big contract. They've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And the reason I say we may see more of a running game there is they did bring in Ronald Jones and they re-signed Jerick McKinnon.
And don't forget Isaiah Pacheco. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Their 7th round pick in this year's draft. The rookie's been making noise. He's been getting playing time with the first team offense throughout training camp. He's being used as both an actual running back, getting plays as a ball carrier, but also as a pass catcher. And he's their top kick return man right now. So I know there's been rumors that the coaching staff really likes him. And another thing with the receivers, they have a nice stable of receivers. They have a nice stable of running backs as well. I just want to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire stay healthy and really take the reins, because it's nice to have a stable of guys, but typically you need at least one of those guys to step forward and really take the helm and be the lead back, even if it's a rotational situation. They're going to need Clyde Edwards-Helaire to really step up and live up to that first round billing if this ground game's going to have any success.
All right. Now, defense, though, is my big question, because I think there's issues on the D-line. There's issues all over the defense. They replaced the Honey Badger with Justin Reed. I think on the field that might be a wash, and I really think when you look at the stage of the career, each one's in. Reed may be the better player right now. But the issue is, can the Chiefs make up for losing the Honey Badger's leadership and toughness? I mean, I think that is a big question. And then you look at Frank Clark, who struggled last year. He only had 4.5 sacks. He's 29 years old. Does he have a turn back the clock year in him? And then you have George Karlaftis, who was picked up in the first round, who I think will be a good player for them. But if that's all you've got there, because I don't see a lot of depth there. They lost Melvin Ingram in the offseason. I think the Chiefs have serious defensive problems.
Their defense is definitely going to have to mesh and definitely going to have to figure that out 100%. You're absolutely right. Their defense, I don't have as many questions on their passing game. I think with Mahomes at the helm and Kelsey, they'll be fine.
Well, I think that'll be fine too. My problem is this, though. Can they stop people?
Yeah, the defense is what's really going to have to take that big step. And that was part of the problem last year. That's why they had to make some of the moves that they did. And I remember early last season, they were just pathetic on defense. The first month and a half of the season, they were just awful, just so bad in both against the pass and against the run. And it didn't help at that time either. The offense was kind of sputtering too. But anyway, I like the additions they made, man. They added a lot of quality pieces on the defensive side in the draft. Karlaftis, Trent McDuffie in the secondary, Brian Cook at safety, Leo Chenal at linebacker. These are all quality pieces.
Yeah, but those are rookies in positions where they need upgrades. And there's not a lot of rookie DBs that step right in and are absolute studs. So
McDuffie,
go ahead.
No, I'll say McDuffie has been playing really well in camp as well.
Dude,
and I know
he's camp and it's preseason. Nobody gives a shit.
Fair. Those are both fair statements. How many guys have done well in training camp and then shit the bed in the regular season?
And who told you that, once Malik Willis got in a preseason game, he would blow it up and everybody would talk about how great he is?
Nah, I mean, you did say that. You were 100% hit the
and he played against a vanilla team that didn't really blitz him, that just ran a straight zone and a straight man defense, and he looked great, because anybody that's a good college quarterback can actually look pretty good that way in an NFL game. Is when bullets fly that you find out if somebody can play. So I don't care if he looks good in practice. They ain't hitting each other in practice.
Fine. Take it with a grain of salt, but it's always nice to hear that they're actually playing well, because how many times do we hear of a high draft pick or something like that struggling early on, or whatever the case may be?
Well, how about this, though? Give me the last team you remember that had like two guys in their secondary that were rookies where they both panned out right away.
I mean, two guys in the secondary, that's tough. I mean, one is not a big deal. But even if Trent McDuffie is the one who plays well for them, that'll be a huge upgrade for them. Corner was a huge weakness for them, and McDuffie was one of the better prospects. But how about this? We could go even farther if I could get you to name me some guys that came in and were great corners their first year, because that doesn't happen. I mean, he can be a good, solid player, but even Darrelle Revis wasn't a lockdown guy in his first year. Surtain last year was really good for Denver as a rookie.
Okay, so you've given me one.
Well,
I can give you a team that had multiple DBs, though. The 1981 San Francisco 49ers. Because they had Hicks, Williamson, and Lott, who were all drafted at the top of that draft. And that might have been the thing that turned them into a Super Bowl team that year. It may not have been Joe Montana mainly. It might have been those three guys. Because all three of those guys played at damn near Pro Bowl levels as rookies.
Stacked. It's a stacked secondary, dude.
But all right, let's go ahead and let's move on to the Las Vegas Raiders. It still seems stupid to call them the Las Vegas Raiders.
I hate it.
But...
I hate it so much.
All right, last year they made the playoffs. You've got Derek Carr back. They got Jarrett Stidham, so they should be fine. I'm just kidding. But I think this. I think everybody wants to see Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. Because I want to see this offense overall. Because outside of probably the Bengals, main four guys, this I think is the closest to them. You got Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Devontae Adams. You got Jacobs in the backfield. This is an offense, skill position-wise, that's loaded.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I mean, Devontae Adams is seen in a lot of circles as maybe the best receiver.
Yeah, at worst, he's top three.
At the very worst, he's top three. I mean, getting a piece like that and the fact that they already have a history from playing together in college, both these guys are excited. And if you're a Raiders fan, how can you not be excited? I mean, seriously, you got Adams. Hunter Renfrow did well. You got Darren Waller, who's been a beast at tight end for him. Carr has established himself as a top 10 quarterback in the league. These are all great things. This is what you're looking for.
But we have an issue because I'm afraid what they'll look like, and I know they got to the Super Bowl last year, but I'm afraid this is going to look like the Bengals offense from last year because the offensive line is bad in Las Vegas. I mean, You've got Colton Miller, maybe Denzel Good, but he's coming off an ACL tear. The only sure bets here are Alex Leatherwood and Brandon Parker. And Alex Leatherwood, for lack of a better term, played like ass last year. I mean, I don't think he's very good. I think he's a bust. And do you like how I kept a straight face as I said that?
You.
But I mean, I can see them kick Leatherwood inside to guard and put Parker at tackle. You got a third-round pick in Dylan Parham, who could push for snaps at guard or tackle. But they've got this explosive offense. And, the offense is like Macy's when they were big. The offensive line, they're like the Goodwill.
I hate this Raiders offensive line. This is going to be their big bugaboo. And I'm not going to say that it's the only comparison to the Bengals is that, yes, they have the passing game has the potential to be special, but the offensive line is atrocious.
That's the comparison to the Bengals. I'm talking about last year's Bengals. The difference is, though, I think last year's Bengals had a lot better defense than what this Raiders team does, too.
I mean, that aside, just focusing on the offense, that's as far as the comparisons go. Because Joe Burrow's a better quarterback. Chase is a better receiver. Chase might be the better receiver.
Was Devontae Adams. And the thing is this. I'm talking about the fact that they have three studs. The Bengals have three studs. I mean, Darren Waller, to me, might be the best tight end in football right now as the other guys get older.
I love Darren Waller. Last year, him getting hurt was an issue. I know he missed a few games, so you'll want to make sure he's healthy this year. But, if they're on, man, Carr's not going to be lacking for weapons. And it also helps that, you got Adams on the outside. You got Waller at tight end. You got Renfrow in the slot. And they were looking for that other wide receiver who could step up. People thought it would be Demarcus Robinson, who they signed over from Kansas City. But apparently Mac Hollins has been impressing the coaching staff and doing all the right things and really showing improvement as a route runner, showing improvement in the red zone and stuff like that. And that's what you're looking for. If you're going to poo-poo guys doing well in camp and guys doing well in preseason,
I will.
Fine. But as a coach, I'm sure you would appreciate as a coach.
No, I won't. I really won't. No, I won't. I will not. As a coach, you know what? If a dude plays awesome in practice, I don't care. I still want to see him in a game with a crowd and with people he doesn't know trying to hit him. So to me as a coach, I feel better if the guy doesn't suck in practice.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
I've been around. I mean, I've coached football for 32 years, and I've been around guys that before we played a real game looked awesome. Put them in front of the crowd, they totally pissed their pants. So I believe stuff when I see stuff.
That's
And the
fair.
preseason thing is kind of like, hell, I remember Greg Page knocked down Mike Tyson in sparring in 1990. Does anybody really believe that matters if Greg Page fights Mike Tyson for real? No,
Mm-mm.
because it was sparring. So, it's a bigger deal to Greg Page to be in the ring with Mike Tyson than it is Mike Tyson to be in the ring with Greg Page.
But yeah, I
That's all
mean,
I'm trying to say.
but at least with the Raiders offense overall, their offensive line, I had them ranked 29th out of the 32 teams, and that's really the only thing on offense really holding them back is their offensive line. Everything else is up to par. I don't even care that Josh Jacobs isn't quite what was to be expected when they drafted him in the first round. They also have a stable of running backs that they're
And that's my question,
ready.
because Josh Jacobs is coming into his contract year. All of a sudden, Vegas brings back Kenyon Drake. They signed veteran Brandon Bolden.
Yep.
And, McDaniels was in New England for a long time. There was one point where they drafted Zamir White in the fourth round.
Yep.
And then added a veteran, Amir Abdullah, just to battle for the role. So I think there's a good chance we see some carries siphoned off of Jacobs just because they're not planning on paying him that big money next year.
Nope. They're absolutely not going to be paying him next year. 100%. This kid would have to run for 1,300 yards, score 10-plus rushing touchdowns.
Oh, I think he would have to be Jonathan Taylor
balls
for them to re-sign him, because the
That's
value
what I'm
on
saying.
running backs in this draft or in the league anymore is not nearly as high as what it was. If you look at Ezekiel Elliott,
Oh,
if
yes.
the Cowboys had to do over again, don't you just keep Tony Pollard for like a fifth of the money or a tenth of the money?
Yo, I'm so glad you said that. As soon as you started talking about Jacobs and his contract, that was the first name that popped into my head was Ezekiel Elliott, because the guy's going to be 27. He's going to be 28, I think, this season, and he's already shot. There's a certain point of NFL touches, carries that running backs get, that once they get to that point, they typically fall off. They either start getting hurt or they're just ineffective. And Zeke is at that or past that level at this point. And the only guys who really survive that and who don't fall off are like your Hall of Famer types. The Daniel Thomas.
Even Hall of Famers
AP,
drop off quickly.
But eventually, they all got to pay the price.
Even Hall of Famers drop off quickly. A lot of times with them, it's more injury than anything else. But as I always bring up, Earl Campbell, at the age of 28, 29, he was done.
Damn well the Cowboys, if they had to do it over again, are not paying Ezekiel Elliott that money.
I don't know that, because the Cowboys have done so many stupid, gut-wrenching things for their fans that I think it's hard to believe that there's no way they would, because they're a little nuts. And you know what? What the Dallas Cowboys need to do is probably go to betting.net to find the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes so you don't have to. Head over to their website now to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. Make sure you check them out at betting.net. Also, when you go to YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, go to the link in the description down below in the video. You will see our top recommended site for the show tonight, BetMGM, to bet on all your NFL games this year. All right, guys, that brings us to the Los Angeles Chargers, which we'll probably disagree on.
Wait, hold on. We didn't even talk about the Raiders' defense.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, why did you let me go like that? It's because I read the commercial. You need to keep me in line. All right, so we got Chandler Jones, Max Crosby. If Jones has anything left, you should have a pass rush. My question here is, I don't think the linebackers are outstanding. And on the back end, I think the big question, just like we talked about Bradley Chubb in Denver, would be Jonathan Abram. Can he stay healthy and be a consistent performer under this new coaching staff?
Yeah, that's one of the things that was preventing me from having the Raiders higher in my rankings. And when we did our show and we were doing our power rankings, I think I shocked you guys with how low I had the Raiders. I had them, 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had them like 13th or 12th in the AFC or something like that.
Yeah, but the thing is this, there's also 12 or 13 good teams in the AFC.
No, I know.
Teams that could be good. How about that?
No, yeah, but the Raiders are a real solid team, and I'm going to agree with you on that too. Yeah, their pass rush might be right with Jones and Crosby, maybe one of the best, if not the best in the league, if Jones is doing what Jones does, because Max Crosby was a beast last year. But I hate their back seven. Their linebackers leave a lot to be desired. Divine Diablo, Denzel Perryman, Jayon Brown from Tennessee. They brought in Kenny Young from Denver. Just leaves a lot to be desired. Do you need elite linebackers? No, you don't. But does it help? Yeah, sure, it can't hurt. But really, their secondary, too, is a big question because they're going to have a couple of new guys starting there. Rock Ya-Sin, who they got in a trade from Indianapolis this offseason at corner, Trayvon Mullen. And then you had mentioned Jonathan Abram, who has injury issues and just ineffective mostly. I think he's another one of their first-round picks that they did not pick up his fifth-year extension. So
I'm going to give you one thing.
Pretty sure he's on the line, too.
I'm going to give you one thing real quick, though. I think their defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, ran a solid defense in New York that got a lot out of lesser talent. Mm-hmm. So I think that he is the kind of coach that may be able to develop some schemes that can give Vegas a chance. And the thing is, if Chandler Jones is healthy and what he normally is, and Max Crosby stays healthy, that can help your secondary immensely.
Dude, yeah, man. I mean, if you can't get to the quarterback, it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. If you're not getting to the quarterback, your secondary is going to struggle. They shouldn't have that problem this year. And they have depth along the defensive line. So it's not like it's just Jones and Crosby and nobody else. They do like Malcolm Kuntz, who they drafted in the third round last year. He has developmental pass rush potential for him. They do like their defensive line rotation inside with Nichols and Hankins. Got a couple of good rookies in there. So they've got the horses up front. And if their front four can apply the pressure that they need, that will absolutely take pressure off the secondary. And I really want to see Nate Hobbs, what he does this year, because he was arguably the best rookie corner in the league last year out of the slot. He had an amazing season, and I know he graded out very well for the analytical world, especially PFF types and whatnot, graded him very highly. So there's potential. There is potential there, but they're going to have to put it together. And I got my questions on their secondary for sure.
All right, let's go ahead and let's switch to the Los Angeles Chargers, led by Justin Herbert. This is a team that everybody keeps saying is going to get it done. And I think the big question here is, how will the new faces on the defense coalesce into Brandon Staley's second season? The Chargers brought in key defenders to upgrade a unit that needed help. You've got Khalil Mack. You've got J.C. Jackson. And don't discount to me the additions of the Day kids, Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, Kyle Van Noy. The run defense should be much better in 2022. But you know what? It could be a lot better and still suck because their run defense was absolutely atrocious last year.
That was their big bugaboo. And I know coming into the draft, all the mock drafts had them getting Davis from Georgia, the defensive lineman that Philadelphia ended up taking, Jordan Davis, because he was the best run stuffer. That was their biggest need. It was almost too obvious of a pick for them to make. That's why they didn't end up making it. But no, hopefully Joseph Day helps solidify some things up front for them. I don't know how much that's going to do. Their defensive line is a question, but they can't be any worse, right, than they were last year. Right?
Well, it can always be worse.
I mean, when you're at the bottom, there's only one way to go up, right? Maybe? Possibly?
Possibly.
I mean, it doesn't help either that Jerry Tillery is playing like absolute trash, the first-round pick out of Notre Dame from 2019, doing absolutely nothing. They needed him to step up. I'm pretty sure he's also someone whose roster position might be in question. Morgan Fox has been playing better, apparently. Joe Gaziano has been playing better, apparently. So it's something to keep an eye on because they were kind of hoping that Tillery would take a step forward and really help solidify their run defense after mostly being up and down thus far in his career. But he's taken a big step back. So, I mean, they're going to need to get some real good coaching if any improvement's going to come, because I don't think the pieces they added are going to beef up that run defense sufficiently. I think that's going to be their one big weakness, because other than that, I don't know how you're going to pass on this team between the pass rush and the secondary.
I do. This is the thing, though. Staley runs a too high safety system. They need another legit safety, because if they have another legit safety, that means you can move around Derwin James more like probably a chess piece to set people up to get what you want done. I think the best hope for that right now is probably JT Woods out of Baylor, who has the size and speed to be a playmaker in a too high system. But I think with the too high system, they still need a second safety here, because a too high system, the second safety is a huge piece. I don't know that they have that piece yet. You're dependent on a third-round rookie.
Yeah, and I know Nazir Adderley has a lot of fans in Charger land, and I've been reading some of the fan sites and whatnot, and people seem to be hopeful that Adderley is someone who can take a step in going into it. I think his third season. But when you looked at it last year, Adderley was better as a pass rusher than he was in coverage or against the run. And let's be honest, when you're a safety and your best part of your game is being a pass rusher, you're grading out well as a pass rusher. Just ask, what's his name? Adams over in Seattle, how good that's working out for him when you can't cover and you can't run defend, and all you're good at is blitzing at the safety position. Let's see how that's working out for Adams in Seattle. But maybe JT Woods can be that guy, but he's pretty raw in his
That's kind of my point. So that's why I think even if 3 of the 4 positions are covered here and you got a great pass rush, there's one guy here that I think is going to be able to be taken advantage of. And yeah, that won't hurt you against maybe the Cleveland Browns or the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it'll hurt you against the Buffalo Bills and every team in the AFC West.
Yeah, but I mean,
Patrick Mahomes will find that guy.
Yeah, but if you have one superstar at safety like a Derwin James, if he can stay healthy, I think you can get away with a Nazir Adderley or a JT Woods in that spot. Because let's be honest, when was the last time anyone said, "Oh man, the reason this team won this Super Bowl was because of their elite safety play"? Or
nobody would ever say that.
Or this team.
Let's face it, nobody's ever going to say that because they don't know anything a lot of times. I mean, this is the thing. I brought up the 1981 49ers. Everybody will just give the credit to Bill Walsh and Joe Montana. The credit should go to Walsh for drafting the 3 guys to fix his defensive backfield. That is what won them the Super Bowl. So just because general public doesn't say, well, they won because of that. And I don't think you win because of a safety. I'm just saying this. I'm saying they are a safety away from probably being a top 3 or 4 defense in the NFL. I mean, right now, without that safety, they're top 10. I just think that the lack of that could hurt them once you come playoff time. And a lot of this is going to depend on what the offense can do. You know they've got weapons. My question is there, the depth of the weapons. You know, who's going to be the number 2 running back behind Austin Eckler? Is it going to be Isaiah Spiller?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
And it absolutely should be.
So a 4th-round rookie is what you're going to bank on if something happens to Eckler.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, yeah, you look at it, you say, oh, he's a 4th-round rookie.
No, I'm just saying he's a rookie. I don't like rookies.
Hey, in an offense like this, I think if Eckler went down, this team has had success. Well, let me put it, not success when Eckler has gone down, but it hasn't completely debilitated the offense. Yeah, Joshua Kelly isn't quite right. Larry Roundtree ain't quite right, but that's why they brought in Spiller. Spiller could have been a 2nd-round pick, but he tested poorly. That lowered his stock. The film doesn't lie. Spiller was one of the best running backs in this draft class. So I think they'll be all right if Spiller had to step in. Obviously that's not ideal, but I don't think it would completely destroy the offense at all. I think they'll figure it out. Because they got all the other pieces in place. Their offensive line is right. Their receivers are right. Quarterback's right. I think they'll be all right. Well, I like Isaiah Spiller.
Okay. I'm not saying I don't like him. I'm just saying he's a different type of back than Eckler, which is great when you've got them both. but it will limit a little bit what they can do if they only have one of them. But we don't know Eckler's going to get hurt. And this is the thing. I'm trying to find holes in every team we talk about here. If you remember, even when we did the Bengals, I gave you what I thought were the holes. The holes here on defense, to me, is basically depth. But most teams have that problem when it comes to depth. But depth at the wide receiver worries me a little bit. You got Keenan Allen, you got Mike Williams. But the question is how that depth chart fills out at wide receiver after them. Can Joshua Palmer develop into a consistent playmaker? He showed some flashes as a rookie. Jalen Guyton, DeAndre Carter, or do the Chargers favor more two tight end sets with Everett and Parham? So I don't know. I think wide receiver depth worries me a little bit here also.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Same here. If Allen goes down or Mike Williams goes down, they might be struggling. I really like Joshua Palmer. He was a 3rd-round pick last year, had his ups and downs, as you mentioned. But he's another one who the coaching staff likes his development thus far, going into his 2nd year. They're not really relying on him to be a big factor because he's honestly probably like their 4th or 5th option in the passing game behind Allen, Williams, Eckler for sure. And then beyond that, maybe that's where Palmer slides in as like a wide receiver, as a 4th option in that passing game. He might even be lower, depending on what they're running or whatever in any given situation. But yeah, besides that, Jalen Guyton is the only one who really is someone that you look at and says, well, that's the only name worth a damn. But even that is ugly. But as you said, depth is a problem with a lot of teams in this league at different spots, and the Chargers are no different. For as good as they are, they're another team that's not without any issues and not without.
I think there's questions on all 4 of these teams. I think it's the best division because I think all 4 of these teams are good, and if things were to fall right, any of the 4 could make a deep run. So before we get to the AFC West predictions, remember betting.net is not just sports betting. Betting.net compares the best online casinos. You can sit back, relax, play the top online slots, poker, and table games. Make sure you check them out at betting.net. Betting.net. I thought I Risley did for a second. All right, AFC West predictions from 4 to 1. We'll let you go first today.
All right. My number 4 is going to be the Raiders. My number 3 is going to be Denver. My number 2 is going to be Kansas City. My number 1 is going to be the LA Superchargers.
That would have been when they were in San Diego, by the way. My number 4 is going to be the Raiders, but I can see them being number 1. I mean, that's how this division is. I just think that the other teams are a lot better at O-line and the defense. So I'm going to go 4, the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to go number 3, the LA Chargers.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to go number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm going to go first place, the Denver Broncos. I think Bradley Chubb stays healthy. I think the ends will be able to pressure the quarterback. I think they've got a ton of weapons. And I will say this, and I'll say it right now, because I don't rank him this high when we do it, but the best quarterback in the AFC West is Russell Wilson.
Woo! I wanted to hear it. And I don't hate it, but I kind of hate it.
But it's true.
I love Russell Wilson, you know that, but you're making me kind of cringe on the inside, having to go against my boy, this guy right here.
Whatever. I'll take Russell Wilson any day. I'll take the guy that's done it for a decade and done it in a bad situation most of the time, except for a few years of his career. He's taken some bad teams to the playoffs. We'll see what happens. I think Russell Wilson's the guy. I think they've got a strong running game. I think the offensive line is average, which means it might be in the top 10. Because that's the way offensive lines are nowadays. But I'm going to take the Broncos to win the division. And it wouldn't surprise me if 3 teams here made the playoffs. Because I think when you look at this, I think Cleveland's a mess now. I think Cleveland's done. I do. I don't think Cleveland's getting in. Pittsburgh, I think, if we had to redo our AFC North, I would actually put Cleveland last now and Pittsburgh third.
Is that because Watson's probably going to be suspended for the year?
I think there's no doubt he is. And this is the thing. Why should he not be suspended for the year? Because he comes out and apologizes for what he did.
Yeah,
If you did nothing wrong, you don't apologize and you don't give him millions of dollars. So
right.
the guy's a scumbag. I'm not going to say he's a sexual predator because I don't know whether he is or not. I wasn't there. I will just tell you this. If a man pays a bunch of people off to shut up and then he apologizes to them after, when there's a court order, they can't even talk about it, he did something wrong.
Yo, you're not wrong. I agree 100% on that. Deshaun Watson's a jerk, and he should be suspended for the year. Screw him.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up now. What do you want to do on Wednesday night? Which NFC do you want to hit first? Didn't we already do the NFC North?
No, we haven't done any of the NFC.
No, I thought we did the NFC East.
No, we're going to start with the NFC East. We haven't done any.
I want you to research it and see. I think we did the NFC East.
Nah, just the AFC so far. We've blown through.
I'm pretty sure we did the NFC East.
Nope, I promise.
Okay, we will do the NFC North on Wednesday, just to make sure that Dan's right.
Just to be safe.
So we will go NFC North on Wednesday night, and on Sunday night, we will go NFC East. So make sure you check us out. Make sure you go follow us on Twitter. We got a new Twitter account. We lost our followers because something went screwy there. But you can follow us at @grueling_truth. Make sure you follow us there. Make sure you check out BetMGM, the link in the description and the video below if you're watching on YouTube. But we're going to wrap it up for now. For Dan Kornhauser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.